Hello and welcome to the Tanya Augusta Alchemy community. I am Tanya Augusta, your transformation and alchemy coach. Well, it's so good to have you here. Thank you for joining again. I am Tanya Augusta with Blue Heron Holistic Health and Nature Heals You. And I am here today to talk about the season of autumn and the metal energies. And so each of the seasons is ruled by a different element. And in Chinese medicine and in Chinese five element theory or the five phases, we have the five element system. And so there is the metal of autumn, there is the water of winter, the wood governs the spring, the fire is of earth, and then the earth element is late summer. So we just moved out of that earth season and we're moving into this fall season, or we already have here. And I want to share more about that energy with you today. So, the metal energy is all about refinement. It's about making something that is uh, needing improvement, that is maybe from something crude into gold. So, we're actually really talking about alchemy here. We are really improving something and making it to be the best that it can be. So, we are probably feeling that inward pull. This is a yin time of year, so as we are experiencing more of this darkness, of more of these longer evenings of less light, and that we will begin to experience this going inward process, right? And so we will be, as we go inward, we will be probably looking at things from our past a little bit more, or we may again be focusing on the future and what we want to improve. And so metal is about both of these things. So as the leaves fall in the season, we are like that. We are changing. We are letting go of something. And so this is about the letting go. And it's about, again, that introspection, bringing something in that is going to help us. So it's about that inspiration and how we are inspired. And there's always these different organ systems that are tied in with each of the elements and each of the seasons. And so the organ systems of this season are the lungs and the colon. And so the lungs are about our inspiration. They're about bringing that breath in and then also expiring, right? The expiration, that exhale. And we are looking at, again, that letting out the breath, letting go of the old, letting what no longer serves us fall back to the earth. So we can definitely come into this time during the metal element season where we will be in our heads a lot, very much thinking about how to improve our lives. So this is very similar to the air element in the Western and Indian systems of astrology. And so you can kind of think of it like that. So we can definitely get into this a little bit more of this mental chatter. We can have a little bit more of anxiousness arise because it's also related to the emotions of grief and loss, as well as this letting go. And so when it's this future focused oriented, we are really wanting to make sure that, we may be worried about like not wanting to make mistakes from the past again, right? And so maybe more of this worry or anxiousness about loss. Even though we know we need to change, we may have a little bit of sometimes this hesitancy to make that change. But during this time of year, we'll definitely feel that call and that pull to do that. And so in the metal season, when we become very imbalanced, we can become very rigid in our thinking. We can become very controlling. We may think, I can't do this, or we may be even controlling of others. We could become bossy. If we're more of that controlling ourselves, we could be, again, just getting too detail oriented, maybe with that rigidity, not allowing ourselves to relax, just really focusing on too much effort into that change, and then becoming really perfectionistic, and then being hard on ourselves, and then that can affect our self-esteem and our self-worth. So we really want to make sure that we are balancing this and allowing that, letting go of control, knowing that we can relax sometimes, and that change is inevitable, and that we do need to make a change when we want to. But we also want to think about, just like with the metal elements, you can think of a sword and how it becomes this very hard thing, but we want to, while we are trying to become this beautiful thing, whether that's maybe a beautiful necklace, right, made out of metal, or this beautiful sword, we also want to be able to become melded again, right? Because there's kind of a rebirth process, right? We're letting go of something, we're transitioning, it's a healing process, and we want to be able to allow that fire to come in, to be that catalyst to mold us into this new thing that we are becoming. And so at this time, we want to also be looking at, are we feeling creative? Do we have that creative initiation? And if we don't, if we're feeling very stuck, again, that's just another sign that we have this imbalance. And I'll talk more very shortly about ways to bring ourselves back into balance. There's various ways. But yeah, we could also be experiencing possibly this lack of enthusiasm for life, or even a lack of energy. And so if those are coming up again, this metal is also imbalanced. So again, we want to make sure that we're able to allow the change in, that we can know that we are safe, and that we can look at some of these things that are coming up from the past. We can review them. We may need to process, we may have triggers, or they might just be ready to be let go of. So again, we want to make sure we're feeling, we're going to be doing our inner work, our shadow work. We're going to let those things bubble up, we're going to feel them, we're going to express ourselves. And if you need some help to do that, I do have some videos at the end here. I teach conscious communication, and I have some videos on doing that, on creating boundaries. And so, we want to make sure that we are expressing ourselves, right? And so, again, this is about that communication to help us with that mental thinking. So that way we can rest. So we're really going to want to focus on the whole body, and we're probably already getting that call to. So it's going to be a very uh, time of year where very holistic thinking is going to come into play. So we're going to be looking at, okay, what do I need to improve? Maybe it's my diet, maybe it's my spiritual practice, maybe it's my relationships, maybe it's my work or my emotions. It could be all of those things. Let's not overwhelm ourselves though, right? So again, finding ways to help with that mental overactivity will be really important. So finding practices through meditation would be really good. Finding maybe a gentle movement practice, such as uh, a gentle yoga or tai chi or qigong practice would be really great. Or I also recommend some kind of breath work. I do a pranic breath work yoga. I will have a link to that below, but it's a really amazing form that has really helped me to not only help increase some flexibility in the body and create some strength training, but most importantly, it helps me to let go of these emotions and this mental thinking that, again, we get these stuck ways of being in the body, and we have this old energy that needs to be released. And so, just like with the Chinese medicine and the acupressure I do, I'm all about learning ways to unblock this stuck chi, to break free from these patterns that are holding us back. And so, that's just a couple of things to consider here. So, again, we will be looking at the feelings of not only that letting go of control, but also that grief and loss, or that anxiousness, that worry about loss. And you may need to be seeking out some counseling at this time, or some coaching, or I would definitely encourage, this would be a great time for journaling. Again, any kind of therapeutic processes that speak to you, I would encourage you to look into that. But it's also about the structures of the body as well. So not only are we talking about the lungs and the colon, but we want to, as we are talking about the metal element, this has to do with minerals. So minerals are important for having, this great bone structure, right? And so healthy teeth and healthy spinal column. So if you are having any imbalances in the neck or the back, that again could be that metal element being out of balance. So definitely taking care of that. Again, that gentle stretching, the cat cow yoga pose is a really great one. I start to incorporate that one in more. And of course, there's just so many ways that we can be moving the body, but we want to definitely look at these different structures. So again, back to the minerals in the body, we want to make sure that we do have the right minerals that we are needing, and a couple of ones that people can be lacking. And I teach more about this in my holistic nutrition coaching, so you may want to see me for that or talk to your healthcare provider. But with minerals, if you're having like leg cramping, for example, you may need magnesium. So if you're having a hard time sleeping, you may need magnesium. These are just a couple of things. And zinc could be another one if you're having more of these hormonal imbalances or some anxiety. Sometimes that could be due to this. I don't recommend self-diagnosing all of these things because we can overdo certain things in our body. So again, I would talk to your practitioner to get more assistance and make sure that you can stay in balance. But it's so important for us to have those healthy minerals because also as we live in this very toxic world, if we don't have the minerals that we need, those other toxins, especially heavy metals, bind onto those same sites where the minerals bind. So when we have the minerals we need, then we are less likely to be taking in more of those heavy metals and those toxins from our environment. Along those lines, I also recommend doing a cleanse in the fall as well as in the spring, and I do lead a parasite cleanse. And uh, please see below because there is an upcoming one, depending on when you're watching this. But and I would love to assist you because this is a really great way in helping the body in this purification process and time, and also helping remove sugar from the body. And I always, in these parasite cleanses, allow people to eat as much fruit as they need and want. So that's a really beautiful thing is you don't have to let go of that. And then, but as far as with the parasite cleansing, again, we're helping remove sugar. And so sugar is a very congesting food. It's inflammatory, but it also depletes the body of the minerals that it needs. And so it is something that we really want to be aware of and letting go of. And I know that we have addictions. I have an article I just wrote on that recently, and I'm going to put the link to that blog below. So go ahead and check that out as well. So there's other congesting foods I want you to think about reducing at this time, and those would be breads, pastas, uh, any kind of like dairy would be a really good one to reduce or eliminate. So even bananas can be kind of congesting. We could talk more about this too, again, if you want to see me individually, but those are just generally some ones to take a look at besides having that excess sugar. And the body likes to stay in this balance in this season by not being too damp or cold. Okay. And so those dampening, congesting foods create more of that imbalance. And then that leads to those sinus issues. That leads to the congestion of the sinuses, of the lungs, of the throat. And so it definitely, when we are eating more of these healthier foods, then we're not going to be as prone to the colds and the sinus issues and viruses and all of those things. So um, you can also add in the sweet flavor, the full sweet flavor of the season. So definitely eat your squashes, your Honeycrisp, or whatever sweet apples you enjoy, the yams and sweet potatoes, all these different things of the season that are sweet. There's grapes that are in season right now, and you can take a look at, yeah, what you enjoy, of course, and just adding those things in. So those will be really a great way to balance out the body, as well as if you're having those sugar or sweet cravings and you need to counteract that, you can add in the flavor of sour. And so adding in a little bit of that could be very helpful for you as well. So again, the lungs and the colon are the ruling element, or excuse me, not elements, but organs of this season. And so the lungs are what we call the delicate organs, and they really like to, again, stay warm. We don't want them to get too cold or damp. So as the season is changing, we want to make sure that we're wearing a scarf, we're wearing a hat, we are keeping warm. So please make sure that you're doing that if you're going out early or staying out late to ensure that you don't get sick as well. Overall, we really just want to be looking at how we are responding in this season. How are we responding to ourselves and our growth and this period of transition, this time of renewal? It is kind of similar to the spring, but yet it's more about that letting go. So while we are transitioning and changing, it may feel a little bit more like that death process. But we want to definitely find ways to just keep ourselves in balance. We want to look at if we're creatively blocked, like how do we again bring that in? How do we express ourselves? So again, finding this kind, loving, conscious communication, focusing on positivity, focusing on visualization, dancing, moving. The body is going to be really important. Getting out, earthing, putting those feet on the ground or your hands on the trees, whatever you need to do to get yourself back into balance and allow yourself to get into that rest and digest space, right? Because if we are thinking too much, then we can't rest, we can't digest, we'll have that constipation coming up with the colon, and we don't want any of that. And I think that brings me to a close. But yeah, I would love to hear if you have any questions about this and also what you liked about this video. If this has helped you, please share it with a friend. Give me a thumbs up and also subscribe. I'll be sharing more about the metal personality and, of course, about the other seasons and the ruling energies. We'll be talking about water element next, and I look forward to sharing about that with you. So look for that video as we move into the winter season and how to prepare. I hope that this helps bring you some peace of mind, helps allow you to rest and to stay in balance. And as always, I'm here for you to serve you with the AMA therapy, with the acupressure, the nutrition coaching, transformation coaching, all these ways to keep you out of painful and stuck patterns. So wishing you well and blessings to you.